have searched me and you love me. I believe in you, and you have opened us. We believe, oh, we believe, yeah. And you have broken the chains. We believe, yes we do. We believe, yeah. We believe. So just lift up your hands, lift up your voice, and just sing to Him. We're gonna tell Him that we believe. We believe in the price that He paid. We believe that He came. We believe that He loves us. We believe that He gave everything for us. Oh, listen. This you have said. You have heard me. I believe. You have searched every part of me. And you love me. I believe. And you have opened us. We believe. Yes, we believe. Yeah. You have broken the chains. We believe. Yes, we do. We believe. Yeah, we believe. Woo! Oh, we believe. Yes. Somebody shout it. We believe. Woo! Yeah. Oh, and I believe in what you say, in what you do. I believe, yeah. What you say, I believe it, I believe it. And what you say, and what you do, I believe it, I believe it. And what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you say, and what you do, yeah, and what you, and what you, and what you, and what you say, and what you do, and what you tell me. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. And I believe in what you say, and what you do. I believe it, I believe it. And what you tell me, and what you said in your word. I believe every word that you've told me. I believe it. And what you say, and what you do. I believe in you. I believe.
year 2022. And I would say we are privileged to have in our midst a guest speaker who will be speaking to us on, for what I consider in my heart, a most poignant topic as it stands today. As Nigerians, we are all at a crossroads. Any Nigerian alive who says you like what's going on in your country as it stands today, you need to have your head checked. I'm sure all of us, one way or the other, directly or indirectly, feel the pain of bad governance over the last 60-odd years of our existence as a nation. Amen? And we all know that everything rises and falls on leadership. So we are at a point again where we need to pick leaders. I recall having a conversation with one of us in this house, and he was routing for a particular candidate. And I said to him, if your daughter brought to you a thief, a confirmed thief, a criminal, and so on and so forth, that she wants to marry him, will you give your daughter out to them? I said, no. I said, okay. But you are willing to give your country to such a man. Something is wrong with you. That means your indices need to be checked. Amen? You know, many of us are looking pious and holy, but we are not too worried. We are just waiting for our time to come. There are 200 million Nigerians. Only one can sit in that place for 4 years. To calculate the probability, statistical probability of getting to you, Christ would have come back. Praise the name of the Lord. So I don't want to bore you. Those online, thank you for joining us. I think it's a very interesting morning. And we have Adannaya to speak to us. She works with INEC. This is not a political session. She just wants to make sure we are aware of our right and our left. And she'll be speaking to us on 14 things we need to know about the Electoral Act. Please keep your ears open, and I'm sure we'll make time for questions. We've stolen some of our time already, so maybe you have about 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, so that maybe a few questions. With Jesus' joy, can we receive Adannaya to the microphone? Don't stop clapping, no.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Adannaya, and I wrote a short note about the 14 things we should know about the Electoral Act. Okay, so quick one. Let me say the reason why I wrote this. I realized as Nigerians, we don't like to read. We don't read anything. We don't read our constitution. We don't read things. We don't read terms and conditions. So I was like, okay, instead of, because it's really bogus. So when things are really bogus, we don't like to read them. But when things are short and very brief, it's easier for people to read. So I was really, okay, when we first started this whole thing, I was moved. I was like, okay, as Nigerians, there's some certain things we should know. And when it comes to electioneering, especially the election day activity, we should all be involved. We should know what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. And I decided to, go through the Electoral Act and pick out 14 things that are very important that we should know. And those are the polling day activities. There are other things that are there. Okay, thank you so much. There are other things that are there, but, these ones are the ones that we actually need. And if you want to read more about it, please do. It's always good to know things. It's always good to, have conversations with people, and they can tell you that, okay, this is what it is, and you will not be lost. Okay, so the first thing is the accreditation starts from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So what this means is everybody who is on ground that day between this time is going to get accredited and will be eligible to vote. If you go later, there is likelihood that you won't meet them there. But it's not like they're telling you that they're going to close, but it's just always better to be at the polling unit between this time. And the second one is accreditation is done using the Beavers machine, and manual accreditation has been discontinued. Okay, so let me explain what this means. For those of us who have voted before, people who have voted, please, can I see your hands up? Thank you. This church, you guys are great. Okay, so what it means, thank you so much. What it means is, unlike before, where they just use our cards and run it through a machine, and even if your details is not on the card, you are still allowed to vote. Now, what they do is they use your thumbprint, okay, and run it through the system. Okay, let me explain something about the Beavers first. The Beavers is okay. Now, the Beavers is the bimodal verification accreditation system that is used. That was accredited by INEC for the 2023 elections. Now, what this means is like how our phones function. You can store data on this, right? So every polling unit has their own Beavers machine that stores data of all the polling members. So it means that for each polling unit, they have their own pre-recorded details on it. And that is one issue when people ask me about how internet is going to work. Your phone can work without the internet, right? So expect the Beavers to work without it. Okay, now that is one. Two, you can run, there are two ways of accreditation. So it's either your facial recognition or your thumbprint. When we try to open our phones, people who have smartphones and use your thumbprint, no other person can open your phone, right? So to tell you how good it is. And those who use phones that can facial recognition, like the iPhones, once you put it on your face, you see that it opens and you're the only one who can open it. So that's how the Beavers works. So number three. Now, authentication is, authentication using the Beavers is done using the fingerprint and facial recognition, like I just said now. Four, okay, anyone who cannot be identified by the Beavers in their polling unit will not be allowed to vote and asked to leave the polling unit very politely. So now, if you are not accredited, okay, please, how many of you checked your details that came out last month on the website? Nobody. Okay, you did. Thank you. It's very important that we did, so that you're sure that everywhere you are is where you're supposed to vote. Some people who registered at 3 different polling units, 2 have been cancelled. So you're going to be accredited in just only 1 polling unit. And you need to be sure. People have told me before that they have 3 voters cards. And I'll tell you, do you know the exact one you'll be voting in? Is the very first one where you registered, is where INEC is going to throw you to. Except you did a transfer. If you did not do a transfer, just know that the very first one where you registered is where you're going to be voting. And when that list came out, the voters register came out, I expected all of us to confirm our polling unit. It's one thing that we always do every election cycle, to be ignorant of a lot of things that are very, very important. That register would have helped a lot of people. Now it has closed. It closed like 4 days ago. But it was very important for all of us to check and confirm our polling unit. But anyway, I'm hoping that everybody is really in their polling unit. Number 5. Now, only people with the permanent voters card will be allowed to vote. There are rumors that have been cycling around that people have been saying if you don't have your if you don't have your voters card, you'll be allowed to vote. Okay, there's a little trick there. On the INEC register, we have the voter list that is printed out, yes, that can confirm that, yes, you're on the polling unit. But INEC has said, and has said it over and over again, that without your voter's card, you will not be allowed to vote. Because on the voter's card, there are information that are stored on it also that can allow for double confirmation to be sure that anybody who comes to that polling unit is the owner of that card. So that is why INEC is not allowing anybody without the voter's card to vote. Number 6. Now, anyone who presents a PVC of another person with intention to use it to vote shall not be allowed to vote and liable to arrest and prosecution. You will go to jail if you try this. And it is not a joke. You will go to jail. If you go to the polling unit with somebody's card and want to use it to vote, INEC is not joking this time. They will send you to jail. You spend 1 year or 2 years there. Yes, you cool off. So for people to understand how serious INEC is this time around, we've done a lot of things before. People have gotten away with a lot of mistakes. And now, Nigerians, we have opened our eyes, which is one thing. The agitation is also making INEC to want to work. You understand? They want to do well for Nigerians. And the push is very good. You understand? So, but we also need to help ourselves. Do not try to go to, in fact, don't say I mistakenly carried my mother's card. You better check your voter's card before you leave your house and be sure that it is your name that is on it. Because if you get to that polling unit, step leg there and somebody takes your card and confirms and you're not the one, carry inside one bus. Yeah, and rest in Kirikiri first. Number 7. Now, ballot boxes and voting cubicles must not be more than 2 meters away and must be away from all polling unit agents. Okay. So for those who have voted before, you can see that in the voting cubicle and your ballot box used to be quite a distance, but now it's not going to be more than 1 meter. Those who know mathematics, it's just immediately you finish putting your thumbprint, you just put your ballot paper inside the box. It's going to be really close. Now, this is happening because we want to be able to curb out a lot of things. We might not do everything 100%, we are getting there, but we want to be able to cut out a lot of things. For example, when they pay people money, they're able to show their ballot paper and be like, oh, this is who I voted for. So we are trying to curb out vote buying because it's one of the issues we have on election day. So nobody is going to see your voting, your paper that day. Immediately you thumbprint. On the first election, remember, we have 3 ballot papers that will be given to you. Immediately you thumbprint on the 3 of them. You just fold them outward, please, or you just drop it in directly. Please do not fold inward. Your thumbprint is going to stain somewhere else, and your vote is going to be invalid. Number 8, I'll go more on that, what I said. Now, a voter can request for a fresh ballot paper if he or she accidentally spoils the initial one given. So if you make any mistake, you're allowed to request for a new ballot paper. You are allowed to request for it. If you think, oh, I have made a mistake, please, you are allowed to request for a new ballot paper. Raise your hand. The presiding officer is going to come, or the SPO, that's the supervising presiding officer, and check and confirm that you actually made a mistake. And they're going to tear that one in front of you, in front of everybody, and give you a new one. So please, you are allowed to ask for a new one. Don't think that immediately you make a mistake that you're not going to vote. If you're on the polling unit's floor that day, please request for a new one. It's your right as a citizen of Nigeria. So number 9. Now, after voting has ended, the presiding officer shall sort ballot papers according to parties and count loudly, then announce and record the votes called by each political party. Now, let me tell you one thing that is very different from what used to happen before. When we go to the polling units, we wait for accreditation, people go home, come back to vote. Now, it's not that way anymore. Immediately after accreditation, you have to join the queue of those who will be voting immediately. Now, after you have voted, please, you can stay back. But you have to be very, very, you have to respect yourself and be respectful to everybody. And you have to behave well. But you are allowed to stay back and not constitute nuisance. Nobody's going to chase you away. Now, after that, the whole process where everybody has voted, the ballot boxes are taken and counted loudly. You might not really see them, but they will not count them inside anymore. They will count them outside where people will see, and they're going to sort them out. They sort them out according to parties, then count one after the other. Thank you. Number 10. Now, polling agents or candidates can request that the ballot papers be counted again, but only once. So when you go to the polling unit and you think that they made a mistake or something, as a polling agent, you are allowed to, request that, please, can this be counted again? If you're a candidate running for election here also, you're also allowed to ask for these things. As a party person, I think some of you maybe already polling agents who are here, these are very important things that you know. During the training, they will also tell you these things, but it's good that you also know it. So, number 11, on completion of voting in the polling units, the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the result of the polling unit direct to the collation system using the beavers to upload a scanned copy to the INEC viewing portal. This is like one of the most interesting parts of this election, where everybody's like, oh, the results are going to be transmitted electronically. Won't they hack it? Won't they anything? Okay, let me explain something. I take my phone. We make, this is it. I'm taking a picture of this, right? Okay, good. So what this means is I'm going to upload a scanned copy. You're not going, so it cannot be edited. So it makes sense now. So a scanned copy is going to be uploaded to the system. Now, when something is scanned that is on the polling unit, once it's pasted there, every person, every polling agent, the officers, everybody's going to have a copy of that same result sheet that was pasted. So it's like it's making multiple, assurances and making a lot of photocopies. You understand? Like, you know, when you put carbon paper on something and it's creating a lot of it. So that's what's going to happen. So it's the exact result that was pasted there that the polling agents are going to be having, and they're going to upload a scanned copy. Please, those of us in the cities, you can stay in the city and view that result online. There's a portal for it already. You understand? You can stay at your polling unit and be sure that that copy has been scanned and uploaded. Then you go home in peace. You are certain that you have completed your act as a Nigerian on that very day. It is a scanned copy. It cannot be edited because the same copy that is scanned is what other polling agents have. And you as a citizen can check the result and be sure that it was the scanned copy that was uploaded. In fact, people will always wait at their necks and tell them that, okay, this thing, upload it in our front, let's see it. Please do not let them leave until they upload it. That one is very important. So number 12. Now, where the total number of votes cast in the polling unit exceeds the total number of accredited votes in the polling unit, the results of the election in that polling unit shall be null and void. Very important. So, you know, now before, we'll get away with plenty nonsense. Now, no nonsense. Now, once the amount of accredited, if 100 people come to this polling unit and they are accredited, let's say 100 out of the 100 are accredited, and at the end of the day, when they're counting the ballot papers, and they count 102, they count it again, and it's still 102. That polling unit result is going to be cancelled. Might be postponed to the next day. We don't know. But it's going to be cancelled. So everybody has to be careful. Everybody has to watch. You have to be sure of what is going on. You are fighting for your right as a Nigerian. Imagine voting, casting your votes, and at the end of the day, they tell you that no results because somebody made a mistake or somebody did something deliberately. Yes. People can do it deliberately. You need to be sure that when they give people papers, it's 3 on the first election. They'll give you 3 ballot papers. Can't be more than that you put insert at different places. Please be on the lookout. It is very, very important. They will cancel that result and might not hold. Number 13. Now, where the beavers malfunctions and the new beavers isn't available by 2:30 p.m., the elections of such affected areas shall continue the next day. So in cases where the beavers machine malfunctions or it cannot upload data anymore or cannot find out the names of people who are on that machine, which the likelihood is, well, there's always going to be a backup though. But in case both do not work, the elections will continue the next day. And in case they cannot get a new beavers to that particular polling unit, the elections will continue the next day at that particular polling unit. So it means that the results are inconclusive for the collation area. So number 14. Now, anyone who gives money or collects money to vote is liable on conviction. It means that if they catch you receiving or giving, you will go to jail a long time and you're going to stay there. You know, you're going to stay there. Now, this one is very important because on that day, people like to, I beg, let me collect money and still vote my choice. INEC does not know that one. No. If you like collect, once we catch you collecting money, you will go to jail. Once they catch you giving money, in fact, you have to be very careful that day. Once they catch you giving money, trying to bribe someone to vote someone, you will go to jail. Do you understand? I understand people want on that day, they want to jollificate and all that. Please be very careful. INEC does not know that one. No. The system does not know all that. So you have to be very, very careful on that day. Do not collect, do not receive. Don't, even when somebody say, hold for me, do not. You have to be very careful. Remember, when we are traveling out of this country, they always say, don't collect someone else's bag. You don't know what is in it. Please, it is very important. Don't collect, do not receive. That day, mind your business. If you're going with your friends and family, be with them. But anything outside that, please, probably you want to have conversations, do. But please, do not collect for anybody, do not hold. A lot of spy cams are going to be going around that day because when someone is caught guilty, probably someone who gave you money will have you recorded and will also present it to the police because they will not want to go down alone. And once there's a video evidence, my dear, it's jail. So in court, you people will be settling down one. So please, I don't want anybody here to go to jail. You guys have beautiful faces. So please, do not collect, do not receive. That receiving, some of you have been hearing things people have been saying, don't worry, I'll collect, I'll still vote my. I don't want to know that one, no. If we catch you, jail, inside that van there waiting for people, there's be a very big van waiting to carry a lot of people to jail. And please be careful. Don't help anybody to hold their voter's card also. Please, let everybody hold their property. All right. So that's 14 things. And please, I would like questions right now. I think just want to moderate this for people who want to ask questions. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks once again, Ada. So, quite interesting things you share. And whilst it's encouraging, I still have my own, call it reservations. When you've lived in Nigeria long enough, the laws are always there, but the enforcement is where it falls short. So, it's a few things for me. One, this concept of the votes are more than the number of registered and accredited voters is nullified. That means in strongholds of Ugo, maybe he's a political person, I can send my people in there to just make sure that all the votes that go to him are nullified, if you get what I'm saying. I know that this whole ward, he's a strong man there, it's 100% for him. I can go there and just make sure it's zero at the end of the day by trying to fiddle with these things. But I'd like to know what the guarantee is that this will not be the experience. And this whole concept of if you do this, you will be arrested. Would we have law enforcement agents at these polling stations? Is it the normal people will give 50 naira on the road? You get what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, for the first question, they are going to be enforced. There already means we cannot say everything in public, but there are means that will allow all these laws to be enforced. Nigerians are watching. Nigerians are really watching. They are pushing. We can see that a lot of things that happened in recent time is because of the agitation of the youth. That's why I keep saying, do not stop. When you know your right as a citizen of this country, it's difficult for people to bully you. When you know, you know. You understand? So these things will be enforced. Everybody also, I tell people, on that day, you are also a polling agent. You understand? You have the right to look at things. You have to also be watchful in your environment. One thing for certain is if there's violence in any polling unit, the results will definitely be cancelled also because, and they'll be redone the next day. That's because, and more security agents will be on ground to make sure that there's a peaceful election. We have places that are very volatile. There'll be more security agents there. For places that we know, probably somewhere around Rumamasi, Transamadi, there are axes that we know that are less volatile. And we'll have security agents there too, but might not be as much as areas that are very, very volatile. But we're going to make sure that everybody's vote counts on that particular day. Now, for the issue of more votes, ballot papers than the amount of accredited voters, that's a very, 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 very slight thing that might not happen because we are allowed to have 3 ballot papers that will be given to you in public and you're supposed to insert into the ballot boxes. But the problem is when they count. Now, before, sometimes they bring in they count inside closed rooms and bring ballot papers that they've already printed for different areas and add it to it. But now it won't happen because it's going to be counted in public. So you see how the likelihood of that happening is the chances are really low. So that's why we know that one the chances are really low because it'll be counted and everybody's going to hear it. So nobody's doing anything inside any closed room or anything. In public, everybody's going to hear it. Okay. Yes. Hello. I don't know. Okay.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you very much for this. I just want to ask a quick one. A by-election was held in Isoko South, and that was the first time I got to know that Beavers was deployed. And I had a friend there that acted as a presiding officer, and he said that the Beavers was not able to capture aged people, their thumbprint and their face. So a lot of them were disenfranchised. Now, that brings me to the statement you made. You said, if Beavers malfunctions, the election will be moved to the next day. That was not the case. That was not the case. A lot of them were disenfranchised, like about 100 of them or thereabouts. So I want to know, will this be fixed or has it been addressed?
Okay, thank you. Now, the system gets better every day. During that period, the facial recognition was not as good as it is now, one. Two, another thing also is that we also told people to go and do re-accreditation, those who have voted before, because a lot of people's facial construct changed at one point and at the other. Then people's fingerprint, people who work a lot with their fingers, we might not be able to read the fingerprint. It's difficult. Even when you go to the bank, your BVN, you see some people struggle with it. You understand? But we've tried to do a lot of upgrade. They've not done a lot of upgrade to the system, one. Two, another thing is we begged people, we're announcing that people should go to the offices to do a reaccreditation. Now, what that means is you take your card and they confirm that you are the one, and they upload like a new picture of yourself. You understand? Which confirms that you are the one. Now, also, these things happen. Machine issues happen. And we are praying that not a lot of people get disenfranchised on that very day. But if it doesn't read them, it doesn't read them. I'm being very honest with you. Next person, please.
Okay, thanks, Adannaya, for the presentation. In the news, we read of over 60,000 PVCs that were burnt a couple of weeks ago. I know I saw that. And then there have been this recurring news of INEC offices that are burnt. So how do these affect the credibility of the elections?
Okay, thank you. They're doing a lot of reprints now for cards that were burnt. You understand, it's time consuming, but they're trying to do a lot of reprints for people so people have their cards. The most important thing is that you go to the office and you're giving your card. INEC is going to make sure that every single person who registered, transferred, did any updates, reaccreditation, all that, gets their card. If it requires them reprinting cards over and over again, they are going to do it. And that's what matters. The most important thing is INEC is going to make sure you get your card. Even if 1 million cards, like let them get bonds in the office, they're going to try and reprint cards in that particular catchment area. And INEC is really working towards these things. We understand that a lot of people want this election to not hold or people to not have their cards because they've seen Nigerians are wiser than they used to be. But we keep fighting. We are going to get there one day. We're going to get to a perfect point. We are not there yet, but we keep fighting. Everybody's fighting. I am fighting, you're fighting. And their cards are going to be reproduced. They're going to be reprinted, and that's what matters.
So just a rejoinder to what I asked. My worry is a few days to election. What if something like that happens? What gives me the assurance that certain contestants are not being shortchanged, or there's no time, not adequate time now to start all the reprinting and reissuing? So how is INEC managing such situations?
The time frame to pick up your cards from the office is 12th of December to 22nd of January. That is more than 1 month, a month and 10 days. For 12th of December, all the cards will be available till 22nd of January. That is when INEC has allowed for you to pick up your cards from the office. Now, so between that period, if anything happens, then we know that INEC is liable. But this is when they've given you 22nd of January, you should pick your card. If your card is not available, they're going to make sure that something is done about it.
Just for me, talking about picking up cards, I know there are a few people. I was talking to one of my sisters this morning as we were coming to church with regards to those who requested for polling units to be shifted and all. I made the same request. I got updates up to a point, and INEC went radio silent with me. Oh, we're working on the reprinting. We'll advise you once it's done. Question for me is, for such, and for those who maybe want to pick up their PVCs, those who changed polling units and need to pick up the revised one, where do we go?
Okay, so the cards are already in Port Harcourt, River State. The one for River State is in Port Harcourt office here. Now, they are trying to arrange everything and release a timetable so that it gets to people's wards. So, because if we leave it to just the offices, it's going to be too crowded and we're going to have a lot of issues. So, INEC is going to release a timetable for each ward. That's the collation center of each ward. Sorry, let me give you a quick example. This is Obiakpo, right? So in Obiakpo now, this is Romo Masti. Every collation area has a catchment point. So let me quickly check for Obiakpo. 1 minute. Oh, sorry. Okay. Good. Now, an example now. The registration area for Origwe. Now, they have a collation center that is at CPS Origwe. That's Rumoduru. So now, that collation center is where you go and pick up your card. If you are under Origwe, that's your ward area. Now, for L.E.A.D, okay, let's use Woji. Woji has Obio Council in Woji, is where you pick up your card. Now, Obiakpo has the local government office. We all know that's our opposite Eliozu. But now, sending people to Eliozu, do you know how many people are going to be there? On that, it's going to be very difficult. So what they're trying to do is make sure that it gets to your ward. You understand? Might trickle down to the polling units. We're not saying that that's for certain, but it gets to the ward. So people who are under this particular ward will go there and pick their card. It just makes the work very easy. You understand? Might later go on to the PUs. We don't know about that. There are a lot of PUs. But for each collation area, your card is going to be present at your ward level. So let me see. This is room Massey. Now, state school. There's state school 1 and 2. So those that are registered in room Massey. Now, the collation area is state school 1 and 2. So if there's anything like that is going to happen, when the timetable is released, you just go to state school with your slip and get your card. Also, those who have lost their slip, you can go to voters.inecnigeria.org to reprint your slip for you to be able to pick up your card. Because without the slip, INEC is not going to attend to you. So you can go to the website, reprint. Yes, if you did it online, there's supposed to be a slip that appeared. You see download slip. Yes. You transferred. Did they send you an email? Now that email they sent to you, you can print it out. Now the website is not even working now for now. That's the cvr.inecnigeria.org. But you can still go to the voters.inecnigeria.org and reprint. Or you reprint the email. The most important thing is the number that is there, the code number, the TRF number, the UPD number, the numbers, the code number that is there is what INEC needs. And probably the slip. You understand? You can reprint the slip from anywhere. I can do it in my house while sleeping self. So reprint your slip, take it to the office. It just makes the work easier and they attend to you fast. But if you're not with the slip, you know when people are overwhelmed, I also need us to cut some slack for the INEC staff. It's not easy trying to attend to people. I know it's their job, but being there, talking to people, and a lot of people are rude. You understand? Everybody feels, oh, I'll do this thing, you must do it now. If you don't do it now, problem. You understand? They too get overwhelmed. You understand? So we also have to talk to them with kindness. Be kind to them. Just talk to them in manners that they will also want to attend to you very fast. And you don't need to be rude about it. So, any more questions? Okay.
Okay, thanks for all you've said so far. I have a couple of questions, and just to continue from the last one, how do we get the info? How do you disseminate the information to people that this is where we are, you can go pick up this, you can do that? I mean, I heard, for instance, just now that the register was open at some point and has now been closed. And I was asking him, and he said he heard. I didn't hear, and I'm still in Nigeria. One. Second one is, how do you know the number of accredited voters in a particular polling unit? If I don't know the number, how can I know when it has been exceeded? And then final one is, the BVAS is supposed to help with facial recognition, to use facial recognition or thumbprints. Is INEC considering going cardless altogether? If, and it's a big if it's my face and my thumbprint, why don't you just have a number that I can store in my head and run it like BVN? Thanks.
Thank you. Let me start from the last one. I said it earlier that without your voter's card, I know it seems like something that is really feasible, but we also need to also consider that while we are trying to play safe, a lot of people want to use the opportunity to try to cause a lot of problems that day. People can just easily go and print out things, and you start looking for numbers, and people start running mad and saying, oh, my information is here. Do you understand? So that is why we have insisted on the voter's card. Now, the voter's card is something INEC can legally confirm. You understand? Once it is run, your voter's card is going to be run on the BVAS also. Now, what is it is run and your details come out, there's a barcode at the back of your voter's card. So what that thing does is it runs, when the BVAS runs through it, it brings out your information. Now, what then we go on to do is to confirm that this person that owns this card, his fingerprint is going to match what is already on the system. You understand? So that is the reason why the card is very important. And for now, we cannot vote without cards. Number two, how to confirm the number of accredited voters in the polling unit. That's the BVAS machine. That's what it can do. Now, polling agents will look at the BVAS machine before accreditation starts to confirm that it is at 000. Now, once they've confirmed that this BVAS has not confirmed anybody, has not accredited any voter, then they go on to start accrediting people. Now, it is on the machine is going to automatically accredit, number the amount of people who have been accredited. If you come, it means that's 3 people that have been accredited. And we expect to see only 3 ballot papers in the ballot box. That is how it's going to work. So sorry, what's the second question you asked? Okay, now for the information, INEC has been trying on Facebook. I will encourage everybody, please follow INEC on Facebook and Twitter. That is where they pass all the first-hand information. Immediately anything comes up, they pass it there. Now, we try as much as possible to, continue talking about it and reposting to groups and all, but people complain that they don't see them. But if you follow them or follow the website, you understand, you find this information. I think that information was something that was really everywhere because people were really, really calling me then. I was doing a lot of confirmation for people. Do you understand? And that also allowed us to even know the amount of people in each polling unit. Like in my own polling unit now, there are 423 people there. So on that day, I expect to see at least 400 people at my polling unit if Nigerians do the right things. You understand? Since the voter registration has been recalled, okay, what they did, the reason why they released it was because people who have double registration or triple registrations, they have deleted their newer profiles, and what they have on the system now is just the oldest one that they did. And that's why I tell people, please confirm your polling unit. You might have a card of a polling unit that you registered probably 2018, and the original one you actually did was 2011. INEC has deleted your 2018 profile, and what is on the system now is 2011. And you're going to go and vote at that previous place. That's if you have the card for that previous place. Thank you. Any other question? Okay.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
So during the last election, I registered for my PVC. And at the point of collection, I was told that someone else has collected it. So my question is, what are the measures put in place to check that?
See, see, thank you. Somebody else collected it. It probably might not even be true that anybody collected it. It might have been lazy to look for those cards. Because when you get to the office, you will see that a lot of cards were there. We were not checking before. INEC could get away with a lot of things before. You understand? They can, but now, if you go to the office with your slip and they don't provide that card, the electoral officer at that polling unit is at that office LGA is in trouble. So they are also working. In fact, this story, you said, go and try it in this 2022, and you see if that electoral officer is not going to be sacked. So everybody is working. Everybody is working. The admins, everybody is working to make sure that your cards are available. So I'm so sorry for what happened before. 2022, they are better.
Thanks for that assurance. Now, I've heard this story, and I don't know what it really does mean. In Lagos, people are being given recharge cards by a particular political party and candidate. And as they give you a recharge card, they collect the details of your PVC. And I'm asking myself, how does this play out in this current electioneering we're walking into?
Okay, so the truth is they're just collecting those details to know the polling unit of that particular person. They collect their phone numbers and follow them up to make sure that they vote for that particular candidate. You can't do anything with that information on the INEC portal. It's very irrelevant. It's so useless. So they just want to know the polling units of the people they are giving money to. They give you money, they collect the details of your polling unit. So on that day, they find you. And if you don't vote for them, they flog you.
Sure, I don't hear.
So if you like collect money and they collect your details, you're on your own, no. INEC will not do it. Somebody is there raising his hand.
Good morning, Ada. Thank you very much for all you've said this morning. I've learned a lot. We know that in Nigeria, or generally, what ought to be and what is are two different things. But we are people of faith at the TICC, and we have a lot of faith that the system is going to work this time. I like what you said, that INEC is different this time around. It's not business as usual. But then there's a question that bothers me. When we go to court and the evidence given by the electoral officers, the presiding officers, most of the times it's like Nigerians want to do the right thing, or majority of Nigerians do the right thing, but the insiders, your people, are compromised. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So we are people of faith, so we will not put our faith completely on INEC, but what I want to say is that the hope of Nigerians right now sort of lies on your role to do the right thing. So what are you doing? You are going to be training polling officers, polling agents. What measures are you taking to ensure that your people are not compromised? Because a lot of whatever is going to happen after the elections, even the pre-elections we're already handling now, is dependent on INEC playing their role as it ought to be. A lot of INEC officials, when they come to court, they're just like, oh, my role is that of an umpire. They have this laissez-faire attitude. If everybody plays his role, I believe we wouldn't even have a lot of matters after elections. So what measures are you taking internally to ensure your people are not compromised?
My people. Okay. Now we're going to INEC gets to be sued as a body, right? And with people who are on ground, what do they even call them? Are caught. No, there's what they call people who were. No, people who viewed who were present at a particular scene. No, yes, witnesses. So now we're going to include other witnesses. And also, there's something INEC is doing now. We have observers who are also going to be on ground that day. We encourage as many observers who want to register now to be able to observe the election on that day. They are allowed to carry their phones and film everything. Drones are allowed. Anything you want to use on that day, you use. We do our part. Nigerians also do their part. You understand? Video evidences in court are very difficult to dismiss, right? So we encourage people. I know a lot of people are talking about having videos, drones and all. But we are trying to also make sure that any agent who is caught doing the wrong thing is going to be dismissed. We are trying as much as possible. INEC as a body is trying as much as possible to do the right thing. And I don't know. We can just do what we will, but they are definitely going to work for Nigerians this time, and it's going to favor just Nigerians, and that's what matters. So, I think one last question. Someone has. Yes, one last question. Somebody has been.
Good morning, Ada.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you.
Okay, so we know in Nigeria and other parts of the world, 18 and above is the recognized age bracket for both voter registration and voting. But recently we've seen pictures coming, especially from the north, about child registration. We see kids being registered and given voters card. What has INEC put in place to ensure that this doesn't happen? Because it's becoming worrisome, especially from the north. We see INEC staff registering children. What measures have INEC put in place to ensure that this does not play a major role in deciding our future leaders in 2023?
Thank you. For that one, that's something that has been really going rampant. So let me explain briefly. These are very old registrations of people who registered many, the first election, 2011. They had a lot of child voters, and even 2015, they still made the same mistake. But now, when INEC released the voter register, they said you can go and counterclaim anything. If they post something, you can say, if you go through the voter register and realize somebody looks younger than 18, you are allowed to report it. So a lot of people, there was actually a group of people who were doing that, reporting these people. Now, on the election day also, if you see someone that looks like he's younger than 18, you are allowed to say this person looks younger than 18. If most of the people there also agree that this person looks younger than 18, it is not left for the person to go and bring his birth certificate to prove that he's 18. If not, he will not be allowed to vote. But if he brings an affidavit that says he's 18, he's 18, no. He's 18. So there's nothing, you know, when somebody says I'm 18, will you go and, people go to court these days to even swear affidavit that they are younger than a particular age, but what do you want to do? So we do our own part now. But someone that looks obviously younger than 18, like someone that looks 12, that everybody knows looks 12, he won't vote though. Thank you.
Adannaya, thank you very much. Thank you so very much. And these are the issues when we appeal to people to try and come into church early. You have just been disenfranchised. If you didn't come, but it's the truth. There's a lot. It may sound simple, but standing before you this morning, to be honest, I feel some element of comfort. The taste of the pudding will be in the eating finally, but the aroma sounds very appealing right now. We earnestly pray and hope that as INEC is pushing, that will push the desires of millions of Nigerians. Beloved, I don't want to say too many things, but please, next year, whether you believe it or not, is make or mar for Nigeria. We've never been at this kind of crossroads in this country. I fear that if the hope of Nigerians is dashed, we may have a lot of heat on our hands in this country. Who agrees with me? I don't fear the outcome of the election. I fear any attempt to disenfranchise Nigerians. I don't think we've seen a situation where Nigerians have their hope so high in the last decade plus as a nation. Nigerians are just hoping and hoping and hoping that this will change. And I said it here a couple of months ago that there are prophecies concerning Nigeria that if you look at the occurrences in this season, it's obvious we are at the precipice of the fulfillment of these prophecies. But there are prophecies that the integrity of God will guarantee and bring to pass. There are some other prophecies that you need to play a role to bring it to pass. On that day, vote character, vote competence, vote strength and energy. The job of the president of a country like this, it demands these qualities You can't have your president flying in and out being patched up by medical doctors. Sometimes they go out there, they put Tiger battery for them, and in 2 weeks it has run out. You need people who have rechargeable battery. Who is with me?